Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're heading over to Lahore in Pakistan to really immerse ourselves in the incredible Badshahi Mosque.
A truly stunning piece of architecture.
Absolutely. So our mission, as always, is to unpack its story, the history, the amazing design, its cultural weight. We'll pull out the key insights from the sources you've all shared. It's more than just a building, isn't it? It's like a shortcut to understanding a whole period.
Exactly. And I think this exploration will really show how the Badshahi Mosque is a testament to that whole Mughal era. It's often called a climax of their architectural style for a reason.
A climax. Okay.
Yeah. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how places of worship like this, they just uniquely reflect the societies, the philosophies that built them. They're like living archives, really.
That's a great way to put it. And you definitely see that here. The sheer size, it's not just for show. It tells you something about Mughal ambition, maybe.
For sure.
Let's start there. I mean, scale-wise, it's the fifth largest mosque globally, and many say one of the most beautiful from that entire era.
Right up there, yeah.
And it sits right in Lahore, Pakistan. It's a key part of Pakistan's heritage, and it's often cited as an example of multi-layered architecture. That sounds intriguing. What exactly does that mean? Is it just different styles next to each other?
Well, it's a bit more than just different buildings side by side. Multi-layered architecture points to a sort of conscious urban planning strategy.
Ah, okay.
You see how the Mughals and rulers after them too deliberately wove together these sacred spaces, defensive structures, administrative areas, often building new styles right on top of or next to older foundations. It creates this amazing historical tapestry, like a living record of power and faith changing over time.
So layers of history, quite literally.
Exactly. And this mosque, specifically, was commissioned by Emperor Aurangzeb Alambir, a really powerful figure.
Right.
Construction kicked off in 1673, and here's the amazing part. Considering the scale, it was apparently completed in just 2 years.
2 years for something that massive.
I know. Imagine the logistics back then. Hundreds, maybe thousands of artisans, all that sandstone. No modern cranes or anything.
That's mind-boggling efficiency.
It really is. And its completion under Aurangzeb is why it's seen as that climax of Mughal architecture during his reign. It's sort of perfected and pulled together all these existing design ideas, the huge scale, the detailed inlay work, the grand arches into one breathtaking statement.
A culmination. And it's important to remember it's not just a museum piece, right? It's alive.
Absolutely. Still very much a place of worship.
If you were there, you'd hear the azan, the call to prayer, booming from those huge minarets 5 times every day, a constant reminder.
Very powerful sound, yeah.
And interestingly, right opposite the mosque, there's the Alamgiri Gate, also built by Aurangzeb. But it's often seen as a symbol of the later Sikh era in Lahore. So it's another layer, like you said, adding to the city's story, a sort of dialogue between different times right there in the same space.
That's a great observation. And if we zoom out a bit, the whole philosophy behind Mughal religious buildings was about grandeur, big, spacious designs, really high arches, these massive courtyards, enormous domes.
The impact.
Exactly. Impact and a sense of unified design. The Badshahi Mosque just perfectly embodies all of that. It really set the standard by bringing all those elements together so effectively.
Okay, so something this grand doesn't just appear out of nowhere. Let's unpack this. What were the key threads, the influences that came together to create this masterpiece?
Yeah, good question. Because you can't really understand it without looking at the influence from Central Asia and particularly the Iranian or Persian courts.
Right. Persia often comes up with Mughal art.
It's crucial. And it became especially strong after Emperor Humayun spent time in exile there and then returned.
Ah, okay. What changed?
Well, he didn't just come back with ideas. He actually brought master artisans with him, really celebrated calligraphers, miniature painters, people like Mir Said Ali and Abd al-Samad.
So he imported talent, basically.
Pretty much. And their skills sort of merged with the existing local Indian traditions. It wasn't just Persian style replacing local style. It was a fusion.
A synthesis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that blend directly shaped the unique architectural style that really blossomed after Humayun. You can see it quite clearly in things like how they built the domes. Strong Persian echoes there.
So here's where it gets really interesting. This blend of traditions, this fusion, is what gives the mosque its unique flavor. Can you maybe point to a specific detail where we see that mix clearly?
Oh, definitely. We'll get to some specific examples. But first, let's sort of take a virtual walkthrough, shall we?
Perfect. Let's imagine stepping inside. Guide us through the key design elements.
All right. So imagine we're going into the main prayer hall first.
Okay.
You'd immediately notice the pulpit. It's made of marble, quite distinct.
Okay.
That's where the khutbah, the sermons for Friday and Eid prayers, are given.
Got it.
Now look up. The roof has this incredibly elaborate plasterwork, really detailed. And the walls themselves, they're carved, decorated with colors and inlaid stones. It's just intricate.
Sounds stunning. What about those famous minarets?
Ah, yes, the minarets. They're icons. You've got 4 huge ones at the corners of the main building.
Right.
And then 2 slightly smaller ones framing the entrance gate.
Okay.
And architecturally, they're interesting, too. They're 8-sided structures. Inside each one, there's a spiral staircase, apparently 204 steps,
Wow.
leading up to these little round domes at the very top. And the view from up there, I imagine, is incredible. You can see the Shalimar Gardens, the Lahore Fort. It connects the mosque visually to the whole city.
That makes sense. And looking at the outside, the walls, what stands out?
The exterior walls, yeah. The first thing you notice is the color contrast, that deep red sandstone. But then it's decorated quite lavishly with white marble inlay. And you see those elegant arches everywhere, the multifoil ones, a very rich combination.
A powerful look.
And technically, it's quite sophisticated for its time. The brickwork is incredibly thick. They use specific types of plaster. There's one called chuna plaster, a lime plaster known for being durable,
Okay.
and another unique one called lasanguri, which could be polished to almost look like marble. And along the roofline, look for the kingra.
Kingra.
Yeah, they look a bit like battlements on a castle, those sort of jagged projections.
Right.
But here, they're purely decorative. They add this rhythmic pattern, like a crown on top.
Interesting detail. You mentioned motifs earlier.
Yeah.
Is there one that really catches the eye?
Yes, definitely. Keep an eye out for the guldasta. That's the flower bouquet motif.
Avidasta, okay.
It appears quite a lot, especially on the walls near the entrance. It sort of draws you in with its delicate design, almost like a signature.
What's in the bouquet, typically?
It's pretty specific, actually. Usually a central pomegranate, flanked by other fruits, often mango or pear, things that were local. But the whole concept, the way it's arranged into a bouquet, that shows that dual heritage we talked about. It combines local elements with the aesthetics influenced by the Iranian court.
So that fusion, again, right there in a decorative detail.
Exactly. It's a perfect little example.
Now let's step out into that immense courtyard. The scale must be breathtaking.
Oh, it really is. They say it can hold 100,000 worshippers.
100,000? That's staggering.
Huge. The walls surrounding it are also red sandstone, and they feature these plasterwork arches, but they're called blind arches because they don't lead anywhere, they're just decoration.
Okay.
Inside those arches, you'll find geometric patterns, some floral designs too, though maybe slightly less varied than in, say, the main prayer hall.
Still, impressive scale. And above it all, the domes. Tell us about those.
Right, the domes. There are 3 main ones. The biggest one sits right in the middle. Architecturally, they're quite clever. They are double-layered.
Double-layered what?
It's for temperature control, basically. Creates an insulating air gap between the layers. Helps keep the inside cooler.
Smart design.
Very. The outer dome is the really visible one. It's quite bulbous, that classic shape. And it often has these lines radiating from the top, sometimes described like a spider web or sun rays.
I think I can picture that.
The inner dome, the one you'd see from inside the prayer hall, is generally simpler, plainer, and there's a difference in thickness too. The outer one is thinner, the inner one is thicker. Different functions, different forms.
Fascinating engineering. What about calligraphy? I assume that's prominent too.
Oh, absolutely. Calligraphy is everywhere. You'll see it on the arches, on the walls. Mostly Quranic verses rendered in the beautiful, flowing Thuluth script.
Thuluth, okay.
And it's not just written. It's often enhanced with stucco work, carved into marble. It's treated as a major art form in its own right.
Truly integrated into the design.
Definitely. And, the level of detail you see, not just in the big inscriptions, but also in smaller floral or abstract carvings, like where arches meet.
Yeah.
It points to something interesting.
What's that?
It suggests there was almost a dedicated school, or maybe a highly organized system, for managing these elements. The calligraphy, the floral motifs within the Mughal building projects. It wasn't just random artists. It seems like a very coordinated imperial effort to ensure quality and consistency.
A whole infrastructure for beauty, almost.
Sort of, yeah. A system for achieving that level of detail across huge projects.
Now, shifting slightly, there's a mention of a spiritual core, a place called the Diwan.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah.
It's a two-story structure located on the upper floor of the mosque complex.
And its significance.
It's profoundly significant because it houses sacred relics. Relics associated with Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Hazrat Ali, and Hazrat Gaspak.
Wow, okay.
So it adds another very deep layer of spiritual importance and reverence to the site for believers. It's the spiritual heart, you could say.
That makes sense. Now, this mosque has been standing for centuries. It must have needed some upkeep. How well has it been preserved?
That's a good point. It's been through a lot. There were some early attempts at repairs. Muhammad Wajid Ali Shah did some work between 1852 and 1896. Funds were tight, apparently, but he managed to install some structural reinforcements. The sources mentioned tapes, which probably means ties or braces.
So, patching things up.
Essentially. But the really major restoration, the comprehensive work, happened much later, from 1939 to 1960.
Mid-20th century.
Exactly. And that extensive effort is largely why the mosque is in such a remarkably good state today. There's a serious commitment to preserving the heritage.
That's great to hear. And because of that work, it remains this huge global attraction, right? Draws people from all over.
Absolutely. Tourists, dignitaries, it's a major landmark, recognized worldwide for its beauty and history, a testament to both the builders and the restorers.
So, bringing this all together, what's the big takeaway here? The Badshahi Mosque, it feels like so much more than just bricks and mortar or sandstone and marble.
Oh, definitely. It's far more than just an architectural marvel, impressive as that is.
It's like a living record of history, of grandeur, of artistic fusion between cultures, and obviously deep spiritual meaning.
Perfectly put. It really does encapsulate the glory days of the Mughal era, and it beautifully shows how different artistic traditions, Persian, Central Asian, local Indian, could merge to create something truly magnificent, something lasting.
It's a powerful example of architecture embodying a whole civilization's ambitions.
Exactly. Its achievements, its worldview even.
And maybe as you, our listeners, reflect on this deep dive into the Badshahi Mosque, it's worth thinking about how one single structure can weave together so many threads. Centuries of history, different artistic styles, the spiritual life of a community, all in one place. Maybe it makes you wonder, what structures are in your own neighborhood, your own city? If you were to really dive deep into their stories, what layers might you uncover? What historical whispers might they reveal about the world right around you? Something to think about.